Howdy, folks of the interwebs. Your host, Double J, back here for our Fridays show here on Wednesday night this week here with Nick from host of the Occult Rejects / writer of the White Gold Tarantula. Nick, how you doing, sir?
Good. How are you? Thank you very much for having me on again. I forgot that was down there.
What precisely is the qualification of writer of the White Gold Tarantula, if you will?
Oh God, you have to cross the abyss.
Oh, okay.
You have to cross the abyss. It's actually a reference to your optic nerve and the arachnoid layer of your brain. To tell you the truth.
I see a lot of little critters and symbols in your new intro and artwork on the Occult Rejects intro.
Yes. Yeah, all there for a reason.
I presume those have some specific. Yeah, I figured as much. Yeah, some specific.
Yeah, there's nothing. Even the flowers that are in there for a reason. That's in those movie reels. Yeah, everything there. Luckily, even some of it. To say Mario did kind of add his own ideas to it, but it actually fit very well. Kind of symbolism that I wanted to use anyway. But the flowers, the scorpion, the snake, it's all means something.
I saw that. I was like, flowers next to cactus and a snake. I'm like, what's going on here? Clearly, I don't understand what's going on here, but I can see it's something deeper than the obvious.
Yes,
of what it appears.
Yeah. The flowers would be like if you it could be like two things, but really for me it was more of the optic nerve. If you were to cut it, like almost like it's like deli style. If you're like cutting salami, cut it down the middle and looked at it from that way. Or the Ora serrata looks a lot like flower petals or a daisy, but it was really more of optic nerve symbolism. And the scorpion for other reasons besides death, and the snake and the scorpion also for how they shoot out and retract. It's almost like switching a polarity, shit like that.
Sure,
actually, believe it or not, that's the reasoning I have.
I'm pretending like I understand what you're saying. I mean, it seems reasonable. I just I'm pretending like I understand it, so I'm saying sure. No, I'm not saying you seem to be describing well. I have no comprehension of occult business. It's on a kind of comprehension skills test that would be rated at the bottom for me.
Yeah.
Never really been something I couldn't even get my mind around something like Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm like this makes no sense.
Yeah.
Let's destroy the board. Let's play that game.
It's okay.
I appreciate you joining me for another Fridays here on Wednesday. It was a last minute switch up, even though you were going to co-host with me tonight on a Ancient Alien Cargo Cult show with Ryder Lee. That's now going to be on Friday. But
yes.
So it's a little bit of a switch up, even though we saw the schedule the same, at least. That helps. But no, I appreciate it. So what else are you working on in Occult Rejects right now?
Oh man. Well, this Friday, that's going to be fun. We're going to have
oh, nice.
Friday, yeah. Friday, we got Mario coming on for, I think, Spider and Scorpion symbolism. And it's going to be me.
What we were just talking about.
Yeah. Me, Headless, Jin, Lisa, Robbie Marks, and TJ. I think, there's going to be a lot of us on Friday night. So that should be pretty interesting. And, I got some other pretty good guests coming up and some possible topics that I might be recording. The actual topics, like not a guest. We have a few things coming up. Not exactly sure which yet, so I don't want to say it, but there are some topics in the mix that might actually get done soon.
That sounds awesome. And then you might be joining me here on you'll be joining me here on Friday night with Ryder Lee, though, right? With the talking.
Yeah, after my show, I'm gonna jump on.
Occults. Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna jump on after that. Yeah, it'll be a big day for me Friday night. But yeah,
so you got an Operation GCD Occult Rejects mashup on Ancient Alien Cargo Cults on Friday.
Yeah,
talking.
Actually,
Ryder Lee, he was very knowledgeable on the topic, and I think we're going to delve some more into the Valley of the Dawn, folks. Maybe is that what we're talking about?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Maybe. Yeah, we'll see.
I at least want to get his. I want to get his opinion on some of what we're discussing here.
I'll pull up some of the stuff. Yeah, that I showed last time.
Well, just not necessarily not necessarily on Valley of the Dawn, but I mean, yes, that'd be great. But more so relative to like the crossover between magic and these alien cults, right? Ceremonial magic and these alien cults. Not specifically Thelema, even though obviously I throw Thelema in there quite a bit. But obviously, the Mormons are a ceremonial magic, ancient alien cargo cult. You know, not the same ceremonial magic necessarily as Thelema, but ceremonial magic nonetheless. So, and it seems like that one there in Brazil is another great example of a crossover between the Thelemic style ancient alien cargo cult, you know, Thelema magic style, much like the other one we were going to talk about, and I was going to bring up to writers in the conversation with the writer as well, is that I always say it's an OTO offshoot, but I know you and Headless have corrected me a number of times, so this time I was not an OTO offshoot. The Typhonian Order, which then spun off another offshoot, which was the Bait Cabal / House of Horus Mott Lodge.
Yeah.
Horus Mott Lodge. Yeah, I think Horus Mott Lodge, I think is what it's called. Those aren't two organizations. I don't exactly know where one shakes off from the other. They're definitely interrelated, and they have the same leader, right? This Nema individual who was very practicing Thelemic magician / ancient alien cargo cultist / doing rituals on mounds. So that, you know, I definitely want to get some writers' insight on some of that stuff, because looking at some of his catalog, I've listened to some of it, but not all. But looking at his catalog of podcasts that he's done over the years on ancient alien cargo cults, not just like the UFO kind of Project Bluebeam type stuff that you talked about him with on the Occult Rejects, maybe earlier this year.
Yes, yeah. And I think I had you on for that.
If you did, I don't remember. It's possible, but it was a good show. I definitely listened to it at least. I might have been there. Couldn't tell you.
Oh no, I'm getting confused with the ancient alien cargo cult. It was something, I think. Oh no, maybe it was the UFO. It was the UFO thing that you were on with. Maybe
I think you had him on right before I was on there for the JFKX conversation with.
Oh yes,
that was a good conversation.
That's right.
Him and Jay Wiedner, his filmmaking partner there.
That's right. It was that, and I had him on for the UFO stuff prior.
Yeah, which she's got some great perspectives, I think. Many of which I share a lot of the similar viewpoints as him on a lot of this UFO deception. But a lot of the UFO deception, I don't know if this is his position necessarily, but it is mine. It's all rooted in these ancient alien cargo cultists, right? They want to more or less convince folks that aliens are real, and they're currently flying over your old stomping grounds of Long Island and New Jersey.
Yeah, they've been making appearances, right?
Yeah. Apparently, the aliens decided to invade the 50th worst state in the union of New Jersey. No offense to New Jersey, but its only saving grace, in my opinion, is its headquarters of Wawa. Outside of that, I'll pass. Spent a lot of time there. I do love Wawas, and I will admit, folks in New Jersey they know how to make a delicious sandwich. Specifically, there's a sandwich I'm thinking of out of Princeton, New Jersey, which delicious bread. It's like breakfast on a sandwich. They got a bunch of eggs and bacon, a bunch of breakfast stuff, kind of conglomerate of breakfast stuff, if you will.
Yeah, they like sandwiches. They do have a decent amount of. I've been to a few Wawas. I was surprised, I guess, with the amount of food you could buy at a place like that.
Oh well, I'd never seen something like that, and then when I discovered Wawa, probably circa 2006, it was, you know, it's a pretty revolutionary moment in my life. Discovering a Wawa. You know, a man who lives on the road, you know what I mean? I can respect a nice gas station like a Wawa.
I hear what you say. That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I used to log some miles back then, man. I'll tell you. One year I did 120,000 domestic in the air, and another 60 on the ground.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was busy. That's what I'm saying. I can respect it. And then no offense to Wawa, but obviously other gas stations have to step up their game in response.
Mm-hmm.
Then circa 2016, I discovered a Buc-ee's, and holy smokes!
Never heard of that.
You've never been to a Buc-ee's?
No.
That's a life-changing experience, friend. It is different. It is something different. I think they're basically they're spread across pretty far now. Back then there was only a few locations in Texas, and I was in Texas, and it made sense there because everything's bigger in Texas, is what they say. That's what they try to convince folks, at least, because it's like, I don't know, let's call it 150 pumps. I mean, it's stupid sized. It's at least a football field sized. indoor convenient mart full of everything you think of, including delicious foods and other sweet treats. Dude, they have a whole wall of beef jerky. I don't think if you, that's what I'm saying, like if you, you got to experience it. But what I'm explaining is it's not going to do it any justice. They have an entire wall of beef jerky that they make there. It's next level. That's what I'm saying. It's a life changing experience, especially for a man on the road.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that. I mean, I was pretty impressed when I came across the first one.
Yeah, no disrespect to Sheets. Sheets is pretty nice.
Yeah, Sheets.
I prefer but their food is not as good as Wawa. Wawa's got that. They brought it back this year, I believe, as well. The holiday turkey sandwich on the Thanksgiving dinner on a hoagie roll, basically.
Yeah.
Which, upon first glance, I was like, I don't know about this. You guys put cranberry on there. I don't know about this sandwich y'all are talking about, but it's pretty delicious.
I have to admit, I do like cranberry in my chicken salad.
I do now, since courtesy of Wawa's Thanksgiving sandwich.
Thanksgiving. Damn it, what did you do to me, Wawa?
Damn it, Wawa.
I like cranberries.
Have you been following the UFO biz in around New Jersey? I mean, there's an obscene amount of outside of the weird congressional hearings that have been going on about it. There's an obscene amount of actual videos of at least drones or other craft in the sky. I like the congressional conclusion they had. They're like, it's not a foreign country and it's not ours. Like, all right, it's getting dumb here. It's not aliens. Let's not, you know what I mean? Like, that's the next thing they're going to say. Like, it's aliens.
Well, yeah, that's kind of why I'm gonna be honest. I first heard about it when it seemed to like kind of be like popular across the country. Like there was a few different spots that like I think within the same day had like UFO supposed sightings, and I was just like, oh man, I really don't want to pay attention to this, because if massive amounts of people start believing this, it's just like I can't deal with this right now.
I was talking about it with Clint.
Like, I don't want to start thinking we're that lost with humanity. Like I was like, I don't even want to know what people thinking about with this. So I'm just I got my podcast, the Occult Rejects. So I'm not worried about UFOs.
I don't disrespect your line of thinking there, sir. That's seems pretty cogent and reasonable, to be quite honest with you. I've taken a very similar approach. However, I have been paying attention to the videos for the sheer purpose of roasting the entire situation. I was talking about it the other night on Clint Eastwood's show there, the Third World Assassin there on YouTube. He because he's a big Bill Cooper fan, and Cooper wrote and talked heavily about Project Bluebeam, the fake alien invasion. And look, it could be that. I'm not going to rule it out. I don't know. I wasn't there on the planning of whatever the fuck's going on. Clearly it seems collectively organized. If everyone's just like kind of like pretending like, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, it's it's no big. You know what I mean? Very nonchalant, very Chinese weather balloon like about it, if you will.
Yo, you know what's crazy? That weather balloon that was going around actually, believe it or not, fits more of the description of a fucking a weather manipulation patent.
What is this? A weather manipulation patent? I'm into it. What do you got?
Yeah. I think it was a show that me and Teresa did probably fucking almost
early.
Almost 2 years ago, where we did weather manipulation patents, and like some of them would have diagrams, and like basically it was like it's like a weather balloon that went up with kind of like satellite things, and it would release a gas that somehow like whatever the satellite gave off would use the gas as a conduit to like go into where it's got to go and affect what it has to affect. And like literally, like I was like looking at it, I'm like, that's exactly what it looked like was over our country.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense to me. NASA has been using balloons for decades and almost a century. However long they've been around. What have they been around since 52 or something like that as an organization? 51 maybe. Anyhow, they've been around a long damn time, and they've been using them for programs ever since their existence. And Google uses them too. Google admits to having a balloon program. I don't know if it's for some of their imagery for the Google Maps or what it's for, but they've had a balloon program as well, doing something in the skies with balloons. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's kind of funny how the folks reacted to that, because no one gave a shit about it. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's like, it's not a big deal. And then the news were kind of like, oh, it might be UFOs, might be aliens.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how they're pretending with this situation. It's just really weird to me that anyone gives them the time of day. But I guess there is a, not to besmirch the UFO or alien believing population of America or whatnot. If you're from another country, I don't give a shit because I already besmirched you for not being American.
Oh,
But,
wow.
but it seems very organized, whatever this is, whether it's a Project Bluebeam situation or what. But like, it's weird. Like, there was another report I saw that UFOs were over not just Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, which that's been going on for a while apparently, but also over every air base in Air Forces Europe, U.S. Air Force Europe. So like Italy, all the UK bases, Germany. I'm not sure if Germany was on the list, but definitely Italy and the UK bases were. And they've been having all these same like incursions into their airspace by something, This seems very organized and for people to just also not give a shit. I saw some stuff rolling around about ideas of they're searching. These are the drones in New Jersey are actually something about folks searching for nukes or biological some sort of weapons of mass destruction. You know what I mean? Like it was U.S. drones looking for, that I don't buy into any of that. That seems like a silly excuse. It just seems like there's a lot of people driving a lot of different narratives right now. I think it's, it's actually, it seems, and I was saying to Clint on the other night, it seems like if they pulled this shit in the 90s, it made a lot more sense. A lot more people would be more convinced of it, right? Doing it now, it just seems ill-timed and,
yeah,
like getting anyone's attention about anything, I swear, has got to be difficult, right? I'm sure they're putting on these congressional hearings as if folks are paying attention. I mean, they might get more ratings than a normal one, but again, I don't think anyone cares anymore. You know what I mean? It's a very small, it's much smaller population, and they try to pull this off, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I think it's some of those folks that are hanging on from the 90s to that thought of alien, because I feel like the 90s aliens were real heavy, right? Independence Day.
Yeah.
The X-Files, right? There was a resurgence of alien activity in the 90s. Countless alien films, not just the film Alien, but I'm just saying, like, in the 90s, like, it popped off. It's a very popular trope in Hollywood. Some of the videos, though, do look interesting, whatever they are. Whatever these crafts are, they do look kind of fascinating. I mean, but before I forget, because in the introduction, I obviously introduced all the folks of the interwebs once again to my old former almost PR rep, Buffalo Jared Revisa. On the Buffalo Jared Revisa watch, he continues to get more charges and continues to plead not guilty. If the justice system has any usefulness left in this country, complete psychopaths like that guy will be kept behind bars. But we'll see. I'll keep everyone posted. He currently got 4 more charges here within the last month. And really? I was just reading the other day that I missed it. He got 4 new charges. This is a multi-state stabbing campaign that he went on. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. And and again, it ended with him, essentially stabbing a McDonald's worker over, something about getting his order wrong. This is after he murdered somebody and stabbed some slash some young teenagers in a movie theater. He went to McDonald's down, 20 miles down the road and, got himself a Happy Meal, presumably. I don't know. Something was wrong with his order, though. And that's when he stabbed a McDonald's employee and pissed on the front door. So, it's, again, this guy needs to stay behind bars for sure. More to follow. That's my current Buffalo Jared crime watch. Again, hopefully the criminal justice system. Buffalo Jared?
Yeah.
I added the that was a clip on the intro. That's a clip from his Instagram when he started going trans. That's when he first started going trans. I went through his Instagram timeline to see when the trans happened, right? Because he changed his name from he actually changed his name from Jared Revisa to Jared Jones. And I'm like, wait a second. You're trying to out JJ me, dude? After he tried to hire me as my PR rep, he's trying to out JJ me? I'm like, I'm not gonna have it. I'm not gonna have it at all.
You ain't having
yeah. And he yeah.
You're funny.
So I found when he went trans, and that was one of the first clips was him dancing on. That's in Martha's Vineyard. He's within a mile of Obama's house. That's right down the road from that. The video is right down the road from the marshy area Obama's chef drowned in.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So
he's got charges. He's got charges on the vineyard too. But those actually go back from April. Yeah, his father lives on the vineyard. He apparently assaulted his father at his father's home. It's still being adjudicated through the legal system there as he sits in Plymouth, home of the Pilgrims. Sits in the Plymouth jail awaiting murder charges. Again, he's stacking them up. But yeah, it was during that transition. I found that clip there on his Instagram, and I added the music from Buffalo Bob. From Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, so you added that in yourself, the Buffalo.
Yeah, that's my contribution. Listen, I don't know what this guy's plans were. Maybe he wanted to stab me and wear me as a human coat. I don't wear my skin as a human coat. I don't know what he's up to. But I'm telling you, this dude was stalking me, and I don't want him to get out of jail ever. So definitely going to keep up on the Revisa Crime Watch.
Yo, that is some crazy shit.
I'm telling you, dude. I mean, again, it's not like he didn't run. He ran a PR company. He had whether or not he ran a PR company, I guess that is up for discussion. He had a website, so he at least had a cover as a PR company. I don't know what this character's problem is, and I don't know what attracted him to me as far as, I want to say harassing me about representation. Like he wouldn't accept no for an answer. He's like, all right, sir, I'm not going to accept no for an answer kind of response. You know what I mean? Like, well, wait a second. It's never going to change. It's like it's
nothing to do with the price. It's the fact you're a fucking weirdo. Yeah. Like you're actually worse.
The fact you want to stab me and wear my skin as some sort of fucking coat.
Maybe he was going to start off his spree with you.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I don't know what his intentions were, but I mean, as the story goes, he
could have started a podcast and fucking murderer spree. Like now you took that away from us, JJ, because you didn't use it.
Right.
You know how entertaining podcasters could have been shit in their pants, wondering if they're next.
Right. I would hope that something I've said on a podcast that attracted his attention, but you never know, man. You never know. It could get wild. Folks' response to certain things that are said that they hear, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't be the first time, right? There's like the Dan Rather incident. You familiar with that one?
No.
You're familiar with the REM song, What's the Frequency, Kenneth?
Yes. So
that song is based upon an incident back in the early 1980s. Let's call it circa 1983. How's Macron doing? I don't know. I have to ask him the French version of me. I have to give him a call and find out. Macron and his husband. What's the frequency, Kenneth? So like Dan Rather's walking down the streets of New York City, and some dude just assaults him and starts beating the shit out of him and screaming, "What's the frequency, Kenneth?"
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they later busted the guy, and when he shot Rather identified him in a lineup later after dude murdered a NBC like stagehand, like some like production assistant or something like that, walking out of the NBC studios. Apparently, he thought the people, the folks on the TV were streaming stuff into his head. So you never know what happens with folks. It's certainly. I hope that wasn't the response with Buffalo Jared, but you never know.
It's voice to skull technology.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Well, again, so this dude's family, Buffalo Jared's family is deeply. They're some of the highest regarded sports hypnotists, Samsonite. Yeah, they're some of the highest regarded hypnotists in Major League Baseball, at least amongst maybe other professional sports. I don't know, but the Chicago Cubs infamously had a curse on their team. At least they claim to, right? For 90 years or something like that, right? That they couldn't win a World Series. And this dude, Buffalo Jared's great uncle, the guy who was running the family business of sports hypnosis, folks, was he's credited with breaking that curse.
What?
Yeah.
Get the
yeah. Buffalo Jared's father worked in the family company. So did Buffalo Jared, it seemed, at least in previous iterations of the website. He also again ran a PR website, but yeah, he claimed to be some sort of world class athlete and skier, right? And he had all these photos of skiing all these different mountains and stuff, whatever. He also had all these photos, like I guess he was a college lacrosse player or something like that. But yeah, he worked in part of this family, physical training and hypnosis, right? Because they did performance training as well, including sports hypnosis, right? So it was physical stuff as well. It seems like his father was more involved in that aspect of the business, but his father was also seems to be a licensed hypnotist as well, right? Part of the family business, and that's who he assaulted on Martha's. His father lives on Martha's Vineyard, so yeah, and these people run in some elite type circles, right? Yeah, it wasn't very similar curse. Yeah, the Cubs had the curse of the goat. There we go. Yep, thank you. Curse of the goat. Yep. See that? The 12 monkeys. What's the 12 monkeys?
Oh, they were talking about it in chat how someone, Lucille Ball, thought she was picking up signals in her cavities and stuff.
Oh shit! Okay.
I see that now, yeah. I think remember he pulled his teeth out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, made me think of that.
Yeah, nice. Good observation there, Lisa. Yeah. Yeah. So apparently the dude was just Looney Tunes. He's out of prison now, I believe. The guy that beat the shit out of Dan Rather and later murdered a NBC or CBS employee. He did 15 or something like that years in prison there in New York. Got out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, I forget his name off the top of my head, but I remember looking up his record. I'm pretty sure he got paroled. Huh. Yep. And who knows what Dan Rather's into, because he's Mr. Back and to the left. The JFK shooting.
Yeah,
he's the one that went on TV misdescribing the what was allegedly on the film, right? So he's obviously been compromised for a very long time, it seems.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, he's been.
It's weird that he got the shit beat out of him, but literally he got. I mean, it was a full blown assault by this dude, and then someone broke it up, and the dude ran away, and they never caught him. And 6 years later, Rather identified him in a lineup because he gave him a suspect sketch, I guess, that night. And then when this other dude shot this stagehand or whatever from CBS or NBC years later, they compared. They had Rather come in because they looked at the sketch like, oh shit, looks just like this guy. And Rather's like, yeah, that's the dude that assaulted me on the streets of Manhattan. And then why REM of all things, right, would later write the song about it, right? Which is weird, right? Because not only do they kind of they're very influential in the grunge rock countercultural psyop scene. They have deep connections with secret CIA agents through their manager and lawyer for 30 years, his father. The just the nature of the term REM, right? That implies some sort of hypnosis, right?
Yeah, that is interesting too. You had to go back to REM.
Yeah. Mike Tyson. I did not know his trainer hypnotized him. That's interesting. Yeah, so speaking of curses and the Cubs, I don't know whether or not Buffalo Jared's great uncle broke that curse. The man's deceased now. We can't ask him. So, but do you believe in curses? To me, curses are kind of like the opposite of I guess kind of negative magic, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess.
How are curses viewed within Thelemic magic or occult magic in general? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I would think anybody who's going to use curses know that. I mean, it's probably not. You might be doing some. I don't want to say black magic. I mean, I think it's all black magic. Tell you the truth, but I don't know. I think any normal person in the occult would understand if they're doing a curse. It's not,
But I'm saying, so that's generally accepted as a thing, right? In the occult world.
Yeah,
Curses
yeah.
are generally accepted, like they're recognized as like that's a thing, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you talk to some folks, they'd be like, that's curses, that's not a thing. If you talk to
Oh,
me, like I'm still like I'm barely over the fence that they're a thing, right? Because I'm very much I very much have been of the opinion for many years that curses are not a thing. However, this time of year, every year, for the last we'll call it 12 years, I consider I review the year I've just experienced, and I consider well maybe curses are a thing because I say that I do say that in jest, but 12 years ago I literally I feel like I may have gotten cursed by a weird doll in the state of Florida.
oh, jeez.
Yeah, and it is interesting to me that curses. So, and it's interesting to me as somebody who has long not accepted curses as a thing, that to find out that within like just magical occult systems that curses are generally accepted as a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are you familiar with the film Child's Play? I'm being somewhat facetious.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
The that's based on I'm just looking at some of these. I'm way behind on reading some of these comments from folks trying to pay attention to some of them here, but yeah, that's based on this doll, like at least in part is inspired by this doll in Florida named Robert the Doll. What kind of dolls are you playing with? Oh shit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Lisa knows what I'm talking about. Robert the Doll. Yeah. So it's on display in the Civil War fort. I inadvertently came across. I knew nothing of this doll. Right.
Okay.
I literally. The reason why I'm at the location where this doll was because it's in a Civil War fort that's built on top of a mound, just outside of Key West, Florida, like just north of the town of Key West. Great curse by a doll. That is definitely something on the bucket list no one should ever want to tick off. So I'm there for the purposes of this. I've never even heard of this story, right? So the people there at the Civil War fort are telling me like this is what this is the movie Chucky's based on this doll and giving me some of the lore of the doll, right? And they say don't take a picture with the doll, right? That's the rule. You don't take a picture with Robert the Doll. Or you don't do it without asking. I'm pretty sure they just say don't do it, like at all, right? So I was like, and they're like, if you do, you're gonna get cursed. And I'm like, yeah, fuck your curse. And I take a picture with Robert the Doll, right? I'll show you what Robert looks like. He's a creepy looking doll.
We're all screwed now.
He's a creepy looking doll. So you see all these letters in the background here?
Mm-hmm.
These are all letters from folks who also took pictures with Robert the Doll, saying, just brushing off the whole curse situation, and then they would later write a letter apologizing for that because they've been cursed for X, Y, and Z reasons. I do recall reading some of these folks' letters while I was standing there, very much not buying into any of this shit, right? And again, I say all this in jest, but this is a true story. This has all occurred, and I do every time this time of year, every year I consider, am I actually cursed? For the last 12 years, I've been asking myself this. Some might call that stubborn. I'm a Scots Irishman. We're known to be stubborn. We're known. That's why Scots Irishmen are good drinkers, because we're good fighters. So we'll fight ourselves if there's no one else around. So we'll just that's why we're good drinkers. We're all screwed now. Yeah. So yeah, some of these letters I recall folks writing like, oh, for the last 7 years I've lost my house, my wife, my dog. Sounds like a country music song, basically, right? But that's what that's what some of those letters say. So I'm like, but me, I'm just like, nah. For the last 12 years, I'm like, nah. I'm like, there's no such thing as a curse.
So it'd be like perpetually stuck living in a country music song.
Yeah, I was like, fuck your curse. I just stood there. I took a cell, like, this is a glass box right here, right? So I don't know what happened to the picture because there's so many devices ago, right? So thank God I've lost it. Apparently, according to I was telling this story on Clint's show maybe 2 weekends ago. They're on Thunderbolt Assassin, and Jim the Ninja, fellow Occult reject, Jim the Ninja. There, he was telling me that it's a good thing I don't still have the picture. Like that was part of the curse would be at least mitigated by no longer having the photograph. And I said, well, that's good news. I have like the diet curse now.
Diet.
You know what I mean?
How'd you get rid of it? Burn it?
Well, so, again, for the last 12 years, I've been like, man. So this year, after, a very, very rough run at 2024, to say the least, right? Just a litany of things I could, I think some rather strong circumstantial evidence supporting said curse. For the 12th year, I finally gave in, and I sent Robert the Doll a letter. So hopefully, all curses aside, hopefully no more curse.
Shit. You sent a letter in.
Oh no, it looks like it would be in the Zach Douchebaggins Museum, but yeah, it's again, I don't know the story of, I don't remember if they told us in the tour, like, because it wasn't really a tour I was on, right? Like, again, this is inside a Civil War fort, right?
Yeah, surprised
so, like,
this actually.
Yeah, like it's not what you expected to find. Like it's in a, I don't know why it's sitting in there. It's like I'll just look it up. I remember reading some of the story before, but we'll see what this says. Robert the Doll originally belonged to Robert Eugene Otto. Yeah, an artist described as an eccentric. So when dude died, and like his house was like left in like disrepair there, and like the main street there in Key West is not a very big town. It's like 3 roads basically, the old part of Key West, at least where this sits outside of, or that area of Key West, I suppose. It sat in disrepair, but like after their deaths on the Eden Street home containing the doll was sold to Myrtle Reuter, who owned it for 20 years until, so that's just the home. Wait, no, that's not what I'm talking about. So yeah, here we go. The couple returned to the Otto family home in Key West to live there until Otto died in 74. So from like 74 till, whenever, doesn't give a date when they sold it. Yeah, it sat in like disrepair, and like no one wanted to go near the house because this doll, like they would say the lights would come on upstairs where this doll was, or something like that. It looks like it was donated to the East Martello Museum in 94. Yeah, so it sits in this place. It's like it's not like the museum of Zach Douchebaggins there of weird artifacts. It randomly sits in this old Civil War situation on this site here at what is now the Martello Gallery Key West Art and Historical Museum, on a mound. There you go. On an old Civil War fort. So, I mean, it's the architecture is fascinating of the old fort. And again, it's built on top of a mound, and there's a courtyard where I believe a portion of the mound still, in my opinion, that's what they built the courtyard around that portion, at least, you know what I mean? To maintain that for whatever reason. Who visited Robert? Lisa visited Robert. I'm just catching up here. Pretty strange though, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty random place for a haunted doll.
No, it was like The Ring. It's like he made us look at that. We're all screwed now.
Right. Like The Ring. You think if the owner didn't put the doll on display, that's a good question. I don't know. Again, it's weird to me that it sits here, right? Like they do have like a local kind of historical society museum here, right? Like maybe the county historical museum sits in here, right? But like that doll, like you walk in this door, and the doll sits like over in this room all by itself. And again, the whole room is littered with these letters, right? That whole room, it's probably, I mean, I don't want to give it the exact size, but it's a big room.
You're going to be one of them.
What's that?
You're going to be one of those things.
Yeah, well, hopefully they put mine. Hopefully someone puts it up there. I don't want to be cursed anymore, dude. I don't know how exactly it ends. I'm just following the instructions that they prescribe. Apparently, if you write Robert a letter apologizing, then that's it. So, at this point in time, I'm willing to give it a shot. 12 years of curse later, I'm willing to give it a shot. We shall see.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's mound magic. I'm willing to believe some of that might be involved. Again, I don't know why. I don't know why this doll sits in this site. I also don't understand necessarily why Civil War battles, Civil War forts were all built, much like any earlier forts were built on mounds, right? I don't know why when it comes to fighting in this country, everyone's like, let's take up on these mounds. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, it's a mound. It's going to, give some sort of, military benefit. Very limited, if any. But some of these are like animal effigy mounds. Like we were talking about Jefferson Davis recently on Operation GCD, the president of the Confederate States. He served in the War of 1812 as a captain on animal effigy mounds on the Mississippi River in Iowa, which is now the Iowa Effigy Mound, or it's now the Effigy Mound National Park, something like that. But it's, there's no tactical advantage to these mounds. I mean, they're shaped like snakes and turtles and stuff. Yeah, Effigy Mounds National Monument. So, they didn't build a fort at that location. It was more of a rudimentary, ad hoc fort they built with like, lumber and stuff like that, right? It wasn't this because first of all, it's a different war, that was Civil War versus 1812, but nonetheless, but they still built a fort right on top of this site for whatever reason, right? So I don't know why folks are always building these on mounds, right? But again, I'm willing to believe there may be some relation between the mound and, again, the courtyard that was built around it and Robert the Doll's location at that site.
Robert the Doll.
Robert the Doll, son of a bitch. He's been haunting me, dude, for 12 years. That bastard. This says no, Robert the Doll was not the inspiration for Chucky. I don't know if that's true or not. What I'm saying is the folks there told me that. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's part of the lore that's been accumulated on the subject. Couldn't tell you. What do you think? You think that's possible? I could be cursed for the last 12 years? Is that in an occult minded concept? Is that possible?
Yes,
that a doll can curse people like that? The son of a bitch doll in Florida that's been cursing me for 12 years.
Maybe just made bad decisions. I don't know.
I've considered that. I tried to this time of year every year. I'm like, man, I got to make better life choices. But then I'm like, well, I don't make bad life choices. I don't. These things just, I just ends up happening. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I got laid off from my job earlier this year. That's just one of the numerous instances that would have occurred in the cursed nature of the situation. Right after a time where I essentially was was training folks. So I was essentially getting a promotion, if you will. You know what I mean? And then I got laid off like the week later. So there was no sign of it. You know what I mean? Like, so, I that would be one of the things I attribute to the curse. It's not necessarily a choice that I made or anything contingent upon my actions, right? You see what I'm saying? As far as how, like, I'm now willing to consider that curses maybe a thing. After that's just one example, but a number of other examples that fall in that same kind of general category of, no matter what I did, it was coming anyway type of deal.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I'm sure that stuff exists. It's just, who knows?
Yeah, that damn doll, man, he's been getting me. I'm telling you, some of the people, and again, I remember reading, like I've literally joked about it before in my head and other folks, just thinking about it. Like, I remember reading letters like these assholes said they've been cursed for 7 years. I'm like, wouldn't you stop before 7 years and be like, oh, I'm gonna, I've told myself that. I'm like, well, I'm the asshole now. Like, I'm the one who keeps telling myself every year, like, I'm not cursed.
Yeah, you could have sent the letter in faster and things might have been better.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I'm waiting. If I just admitted this shit 12 years ago, even I'd have been better. You know what I mean? Like, I've just been writing things off of not that cursed. But again, I could come up with easily 10 things each year for the last 12 years that are, there are people who are like, that's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like how I don't want to get into that, but it's curses. They seem to be real. I'm willing to believe it. Again, I sent Robert the Doll a letter. It's done. It's happened. It's occurred. I considered sending it registered mail, but then I'm like, well, he's not going to sign for it. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know who signs for it or whatever goes down there. Presumably it's going to go up on that wall. Hopefully Hopefully it does. I presume that's part of the lifting the curse. Again, only time will tell at this point. I'd write another letter. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
Lock the room.
This open hazard. Yeah, again, if it is a curse, where's their ethics and morality of leaving this cursed bastard in the middle of this thing for folks to come take? Oh, don't take a picture with Robert the doll, you'll get cursed, right? Again, you've seen look at all of these letters. I can't underestimate the size of this room, but I'm going to try to, for a future conversation, I'll have to try to locate a picture, because there is, and I mean, when I was there, they were recent letters. Like, I even joked, I'm like, oh, you guys writing these yourself, kind of deal, you know what I mean? Like, to spur up the lore, right? To cause more of a tourist attraction, if you will, right? I even jokingly accused them of writing these letters themselves, right? So I can understand why, if there is a curse, like why I would be cursed. I took absolutely no regard for the curse. I joked about it, roasted the curse in front of Robert the doll. And again, I snapped a stand right over here, snapped a selfie of me and Robert. You know what I mean?
Ballsy, man.
Well, I don't know if it's ballsy or stupid.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I could see people doing that, though. Like, not taking it serious, which I can understand that, or just being like, really, just being silly.
So the entire world is under a curse. That's true. So the question, I guess, then is, in relative to Robert the doll here and all these letters and curses, if there isn't a curse, and I'm willing to even admit this at this point, if there isn't a curse, again, I'm willing to admit I'm just on the other side of the fence that there is a curse. Like, I'm not like neck deep in Curseville, but of believing all that. But I'm willing to understand and believe these things at this point. Obviously, I sent Robert a letter finally. But my point is, are all of these people, and myself for that matter, clearly misguided, or is there actually a curse? You know what I mean? Like, it seems like the overwhelming amount of people that have written Robert a letter, and again, I recall reading some of these accounts, it seems like that there is a curse. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even saying I'm adding myself into the mix here, but given the sheer volume of letters to Robert here over the years, and the weird activities that surrounded Robert before he got to the museum, like, it seems like there is a curse.
It's quite possible. I mean, look. I mean, this looks like there's enough proof there that something's up, right?
Right. So hopefully this time next year I can say, well, good damn, I should have sent that. Good thing I sent that letter, but I should have sent that damn letter sooner. You know what I mean?
Happens to the best of us, man.
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. 12 years ago, I wasn't looking. Well, I guess 13 really when I took the photo. I was not looking for again, it wasn't even a thought in my mind, right? Like, I was like, curses aren't real, right? I'm like, there's no such thing as a curse.
I don't know. I think stuff can be done.
Well, if you talked to me last year around this time, I would have been like, nah. But if you talk, yeah, I agree with you totally. Yeah, so there's some voodoo situation, or it's I guess it is voodoo, right? It's the Haitian version of Haitian witchcraft is voodoo.
Voodoo's kind of like the religion, and hoodoo's almost kind of like the practice.
You're right. Okay, so it's one of those that are surrounding the stories of Robert the doll there, of why he's cursed, like it was some sort of voodoo ritual situation. I'm thinking part of that French apartment situation might be part of the curse. I don't trust any aspect of that. You know what I mean? Whether or not it's
that is so weird, that situation.
I sent you the lease for the.
I don't know. I would show up and be like, "So this is my place, right?"
I have a copy of the lease. It got emailed to me too. Again, I'm not paying for this.
Probably like
you can see at the bottom of that invoice there is an account number on there. Someone like XXX and has like the last 4 digits. That ain't my card, dude. Like, I don't know whose card that is, but it ain't my card.
It's like some French syndicate, like fucking pimping out prostitutes.
It's the French contingent of the Society of Cincinnati. That's my estimations. It could be. I don't know enough about hoodoo, but I'll definitely look more into that because I am interested. Now that I believe in the curse, now I'm interested in what caused this curse. Yeah, I mean, that's a reasonable thought to not want to find out if the doll can curse. But again, I was in a mindset like, fuck this cursing, no curses. Snap a selfie with Rob.
Now, another question. What if next year is just as bad?
Well, then I'm going to go back to not believing in curses again. Seems the experiment failed. Jen the ninja
try to set the doll on fire, but
right. Well, Jen the ninja recommended I actually go visit the doll to apologize, and I'm like, that's not a bad idea.
Cocktail letter.
Not a bad idea. So maybe I'll send another letter, and then I also might also visit it just to ensure. That way I can give it a fair shake, right? That way next December I'm not like, it didn't work, right? I can be like, well, I sent 2 letters and I drove to fucking Key West, Florida. It's gonna be 18 degrees here tomorrow, so Key West, Florida sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, you had that. You better let me know.
Right, you want to go to Key West and visit Robert the doll? Nice. It's nice this time of year though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Minus the curses and all. FedEx, yeah, it's a good suggestion, Desert Rain. I appreciate it, FedEx indeed. I considered that. Well, I mean, if curses do exist, which again I'm willing to believe it, another fellow that I suspect is likely cursed is that fella in New York City who murked that, who allegedly is the shooter that murked that. Whoop, that's not right. Who murked that United Healthcare CEO? Have you seen some of the details how they caught that dude?
No, I don't know much about it. It's just
you want me to burn the. That's not a bad idea. I mean, outside of it being a National Historic Place, that's not a bad idea.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with it. Maybe there's some sort of ritual that can be done to cause the place to burn, as opposed to me actually committing arson, which I'm adamantly opposed to doing that. You know what I mean? But
listen,
there's some sort of like. I'm part Cherokee. Maybe there's some sort of Cherokee ritual we can do, maybe to throw in the mix to start some sort of fire. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm just throwing. I'm spitballing here. I'm throwing out some ideas.
Yo, next year we're gonna have to go down there and take that motherfucker out, bro.
Take that motherfucker out. Maybe there's a competing haunted doll. And we can start a turf war.
Yo, you
dolls. That way. Well, that way, problem solved. They stop cursing folks, normal folks like me, and then it's a turf war. So they're just fighting.
Yeah, you got to get in touch with Zach and be like, yo, Robert the Doll was talking mad.
Yeah, Robert the Doll. Yeah, Robert the Doll. Robert the Doll says only queers wear bedazzled jeans.
Yeah, but doesn't he have dolls and shit?
He probably does. I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, you motherfuckers, they got shit on me.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea. Get the guy who talked to Houdini. That's a good idea. Get my old baseball teammate.
Tell him that the dolls
maybe he can solve it. He seems to be some sort of shaman, so maybe he can solve the problem.
Be like, yo, there's an April crack in the middle of that doll.
Yeah, right. And go get it.
Yeah,
so grab a bat and swing away. Well, so allegedly the shooter dude, the guy who's supposed to be the shooter, right? He's found 5 days after commits this clearly professional style assaults with ostensibly insider knowledge on the locations and time of his victim, right? When I say professional style, I'm not necessarily talking about what everyone saw in the video. I'm talking about the logistical aspects of the assault and assassination, right? Like, old boy had no problem going to Starbucks 25 minutes prior to the assault, grabbing a snack, and just waiting and then chilling, waiting in on the corner there in the dark where they see him on the camera, waiting for his victim, right? Like, he had that down as if it was no big deal. There was no rush. There was no priority. Like, he knew what he was doing, and he was calm doing it, right? So you see that aspect, and then you see, like, it's kind of like Brian Koberger, like we've talked in the Idaho 4 case, right? Like, Brian Koberger commits this, quadruple homicide and assault on a home he's never been in, allegedly, leaving no evidence, right? Making it look like a professional style job, killing 4 adults, college students in 17 minutes, and escaping without leaving a trace, basically. it's a similar situation here, right? Like this dude did all this expert shit and got out of town, right? And then he made it 5 days, and he's barely outside of the New York metropolitan area, right? I'm like, yeah, I mean he's almost on the other side of Pennsylvania, but like, the New York metropolitan area being kind of like all the way over to like Scranton or whatnot, right? You know what I mean? Like an hour or so into the Pennsylvania, border kind of folks, areas where folks commute from to go to New York is what I'm getting at there. Like if you go across like I-80 out Delaware Gap, right? Mm-hmm. You kind of know the areas I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I've actually drove through them recently.
Well, yeah, folks commute from way out there. I got a friend who lives up there in Delaware Gap. He commutes into the city every day. But so this dude is supposed to do all that stuff, yeah. Well, there's a lot of this stuff too. Pelosi's lover situation again. Kid's family was in healthcare. Yeah, it's definitely something along those lines. People forget about the queer homosexual male prostitute guy that Paul Pelosi got busted with. The homeless fella.
Yeah, that kind of like that was
disappeared quick, didn't it?
Yeah, that situation was really weird.
Especially since Paul Pelosi knew the guy, according to his own statements on the phone call, right? And they were just chilling there when the cops came. Like the whole situation, there was way more to that. They showed pictures like the guy broke in through the back door with the glass. The glass on the outside like was broken outwards. You know what I mean? Instead of inwards. Plus, they also overlooked the fact that U.S. Capitol Police sat outside that were supposed to be sitting outside her home in a gated community. Right in San Francisco, like her home is in the gated community, and the gated community has security. U.S. Capitol Police were supposed to be guarding her home, right? And this stuff's all going on inside. You know what I mean? The whole thing did not make any sense. But
how did the guy get in? Like, how did he even get in that place? Was there
They claimed he used the hammer and broke through the glass on the back door of the home.
Oh well, like if it's a gated community, how did he even get in the community unless they let him in?
Right? Oh, exactly. No, that's a great question. That was one of my early questions was like, I've driven past there. It's in the back end of Golden Gate Park. I used to go to San Francisco and like an annual garbage can dude invasion with some fellow garbage can dudes of mine every year because of the number of them live in California, north and south. So we a couple of us come and we all meet in the middle of California, that type of deal. Mm-hmm. So I've spent a lot of time for San Francisco and in Golden Gate Park. I know exactly where Nancy Pelosi lives, and I know the huge gate that exists surrounding the place. Huge, like 10-foot fence type of deal. So again, they have security in that facility, like on the gate check, and then again, she's supposed to have U.S. Capitol Police. So yeah, how would the guy even get in the community is a great question. Well, right before then, I have the strangest friends. That's probably true.
Yo, he has enough friends for like all of us.
Right. Yeah, they were just chilling in their with the hammers and underwears. Totally had their own thing to do at 3:00 in the morning with some dude you apparently is a friend, but you don't know him, as according to his own words. Yeah, he got memory hold super fast. But the Pelosi's play into this whole matter with the shooter, right? So Pelosi's actually from Baltimore. Her maiden name is D'Alessandro. Right. There's an infamous picture with her as a teenager photographed with John F. Kennedy, right, when he was president. Obviously before he died. We're not talking about the ghost of JFK. So this is like 1962 or something like that. Well, she was a teenager. She was her father was the mayor of Baltimore at the time, a big Democrat. So obviously, that was some sort of Democratic function where Kennedy was meeting with her and her father. So, her brother was also the mayor of Baltimore. Her older brother was the mayor of Baltimore in the 70s, right? And both of those men, D'Alessandro being an Italian name, the shooter being an Italian name, Luigi, you're going to have to help me out here. Is it Mangione?
Oh.
Is that the Italian place, the restaurant?
I'd have to see the name. I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember how it was spelled.
Give me 1 second and I will bring that up for you, sir. Mangione. Mangione?
Yeah, that's what it looked like, Mangione.
Yeah. So I saw this on Twixter. I thought this was funny. And meme world 2024 kind of reality here. He fled New York City via warp pipe because they have no idea how he made it a couple hundred miles to Altoona, Pennsylvania, right? And supposedly he's sitting in a McDonald's, right? And supposedly there's been varying accounts. There's been either a customer or an employee of that McDonald's that's who notified police. The authorities have now said they're not going to honor the $60,000 reward for the rest of this fellow. So it makes me think there was nobody that saw him at this McDonald's, even though there are photographs that have been produced by allegedly a customer at McDonald's of this dude eating a hash brown there, right? But allegedly, employee or a customer, depending on the account you hear or read, called the police, called 911 and said, that was the problem too with the report of the reward. They said, well, they called 911. They should have called Crime Stoppers. And since they didn't call Crime Stoppers, we're not going to pay them, which that's preposterous. Especially if you ever want somebody to report a crime for reward money in the future. You're not going to be like stiffing folks. You know what I mean? So I actually think that whole story is bullshit, but I'll get that in a minute. So police come, and Officer Fry, speaking of meme world 2024 nonsense, the officer's name is Fry, like in French fry, comes to McDonald's to arrest this guy, right? Get the fuck out of here.
Come on.
Right? The simulation has been broken. The aliens have affected the simulation.
Oh, that
whatever's going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Officer Fry.
Officer Fry shows up, and this dude's like, yeah, you got me, and gives him the fake ID he was allegedly using at the hostel in New York City, Manhattan. Gives him why in the world would you give him a fake? Why wouldn't you just give him your normal ID?
Oh, maybe he thought Officer Fry was a fake ID.
Right? He's like, you're a fake cop.
Yeah.
This is McDonald's. What do you work here? So, the guy that put Ed Buck away was found dead in a saga. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that. Serial killer Ed Buck and former DNC financial bundler Ed Buck. That's interesting. He was a member of the California Electric College. He would put votes on for president for the state of California. Someone appointed him to the Electoral College of California. To date, no one has answered the question of who appointed Ed Buck to the Electoral College. Serial killer Ed Buck to the Electoral College. My money's on Dianne Feinstein because she's dead. They're going to blame her anyway, probably, but someone's going to need to answer that question at some point in the future. You know, no one ever asks how that dude got so like people just write him off as some sort of financial bundler, which is bad enough for the DNC that he was a big financial bundler for the DNC. Very close with Adam Schiff, very close with Congressman Ted Lieu, the guy, that Asian fellow who called Candace Owens a white supremacist in an actual congressional hearing. That happened. Calling a black woman a white supremacist in the congressional hearing. That's where life was a couple years ago, at least, with old Ted Lieu. But yeah, he's very in tight with Ed Buck. But I did not know that they found him. That's interesting. But again, like all this stuff in a parapolitical sense, all of this shit, in my opinion, all is connected. Again, this dude's family. So this Mangione family. Well, again, so he hands him the fake ID, and again, I don't know why he wouldn't just hand him your regular ID. He apparently had all this cash and foreign cash on him, which he now is made claims that was planted. And he also had a gun on, the murder weapon on him, and apparently a 262 word, what they're calling a manifesto, which apparently starts out by basically complimenting the FBI and saying, don't worry, you don't have to investigate this. I acted alone. The whole thing's preposterous, right? But I do like the fact that they didn't even explain how he got, like, the dude allegedly got on a bus from Atlanta, they said, came into Manhattan, or at least got on a bus that originated in Atlanta, got on there at some point in time, came into Manhattan, stalked dude out. He would have had to known dude's exact activities, right? Again, he's just nonchalantly going to Starbucks, right? So, the guy, none of this makes any sense. But then what makes again the least sense is he's moving so fluidly throughout all of these days and throughout the actual assassination, and then he suddenly just decides to hang around in Pennsylvania for a while. It doesn't make any sense. He had been living in California and Hawaii, so he hadn't even been living anywhere near. He went to the University of Penn. He's an Ivy League grad who is likely a gifted student, and it's probably how he got himself on that list. That, or he took a photo with Robert the Doll. It's inconclusive at this point. He could have done both.
Took a picture with Robert the Doll.
That's a good point, Desert Rain. Yeah, he comes from Hawaii. He was living on some weird commune in Hawaii.
13 years ago, he did that.
Yeah, 13 years when he was 10 or 13,
Yeah, well,
I guess.
Yeah, well, 13 would be your next year, so that's what you got to
do. As a 13-year-old, he visited Key West. He's been haunted ever since.
Fuck.
No, so he's part of a fraternity. I think you know my thoughts on fraternity relative to our Idaho 4 discussions there.
Yeah.
That fraternities do a lot of hood rat shit. So, again, this guy could be involved in a lot of stuff, and in my opinion, he actually kind of, outside of the eyebrows, I mean, he has, because the eyebrows of the shooter don't seem to be this dude's eyebrows type of deal, right? Have you seen any of this?
No.
Bring up a photo here. Give me 1 second. See the lack of unibrow on the shooter in this one? Mind you, this guy's always wearing a different jacket than the shooter was, right? But the lack of unibrow situation seems really apparent to me. So this guy could be a patsy where, like, maybe he was involved in some hood rat shit, maybe with some intelligence agencies, right? Because he's big up in, he's got a master's of science and a bachelor's in computer sciences and engineering from an Ivy League school, right? And he did it. He went to a very prominent private school in Baltimore because his family is from Baltimore and they're Italian Americans, and they go way back with Pelosi's family within this Italian American like charitable organization there in Baltimore, right? Not only that, when Homeboy's grandfather, this dude's grandfather, was in some at least some social bad PR in the 80s over some country club fiascos. So they own numerous country clubs. The family does. They own numerous nursing homes. Right, very wealthy family. Their name's in a lot of buildings in and around Baltimore, both medical facilities and colleges. Very prominent family. One of his cousins is a state house Republican there, or I'm sorry, state house representative in Maryland. And it just doesn't seem like it's the same guy, just even from that photo alone, right? So, like, maybe he's a patsy, maybe he was ordered to go to that hostel and check in, right? Because again, like, there were so many Lee Harvey Oswalds, folks that looked similar enough to Lee Harvey Oswald, right? All these Oswald doubles that were running around Dallas that day, right? In that regard, I think that's probably a common tactic. It's a great way to hide your actual shooter, right? Employ 4 dudes who are dumb patsies who aren't there to shoot anybody. They're just within your organization, and you tell them to show up at a certain area. No different than they always told to show up, right? They're receiving orders the same way. They just go there, they don't know what's going on, and suddenly he's a patsy, right? So, like, that's certainly possible, I think. But yeah, this kid, you can't really get more connected to this kid's family in Baltimore. Going way back with Pelosi's family. The Cardinal of Baltimore, who's now infamously known for hiding the child sexual scandals in the Baltimore archdiocese there. He was initially rolled out by the church, by the Roman Catholic Church, as the good guy, right? He was the guy that was publishing all these names back in 2002 when all the butt raping scandals of the Vatican broke up there in Boston. This dude was rolled out. I was like, oh, this guy he's helping us. He's helping us out. These bad characters. Turns out that wasn't the case. His name is Cardinal Keeler. He was in real tight with dude's grandfather, and they've removed Keeler's name from buildings in Baltimore. That's what his status is these days. So, a lot of questionable, shady activities going all around this kid's life. But him being the shooter, I don't know about that. Right? I don't know about all that. Looking at this lack of unibrow going on here. I'm not, I've heard of a 5 o'clock shadow. I don't know if I've heard about a 5 o'clock unibrow. So I don't know if he, doesn't seem like that grew over a couple days. You know what I mean?
Well, what I think is interesting too is just, like, I would think you would have had to have, like, planned this out.
For sure. Again, like, dry runs. You're going to have to know the CEO's schedule, right? He was like, you would have to know the CEO's not staying at that hotel. You'd have to know the schedule in which he's going to be coming to that hotel. You'd have to know the entrance. It's a very, what Midtown looks like. Those huge hotels, they have multiple entrances. It's not one door. On the Midtown Hilton, especially, that covers a large piece of real estate. There's more than one door that you'd have to know precisely which east side or west side of the building he's coming in on, right?
Yeah, to me, I just thought it was much more of a probably professionally done than then it seems like it was done with this kid. And then for all you know, it's like maybe he was just told to do like be there at this time and do this.
That's what. I think that's far more plausible.
If it's even him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if it's even. Well, even if Well, I think he was. It seemed. I think it's fair to say it seems like he was probably. I mean, if he did have this fake ID that they're showing, I mean, that at least they haven't confirmed that storyline, but that storyline at least seems plausible that he was at that hostel, right? But connecting the guy at the hostel who's wearing different clothes than the shooter to the shooter is what they have not done, and it's that leap. It's that leap that's telling to me. It's that leap that they're trying to convince you that this guy is the shooter, which we can't looking at can say not, but it's that leap that causes me to think that this guy's probably somehow tertiarily involved with some sort of organization doing hood rat shit, and is selected unbeknownst to him as the patsy. So this is allegedly him at the McDonald's, and lo and behold, you know how they identified him? His alleged bushy eyebrows, much like Brian Koberger, right?
Oh,
he had
wow.
bushy eyebrows. He must have did it. So that's how they decided this guy was. They decided this guy was the shooter. They had to call 911 because of this photo right here, where you can't even barely see his eyebrows in this. Even when he takes his mask down to eat the hash brown here, they never identified who's taking these photos either. Altoona, they was released by Altoona PD, but no one's identifying where these photos came from, right? I mean, it appears somebody was in the McDonald's looking at him, right? That's not a bad observation, Desiree. I would say it's Altoona, Pennsylvania. They're probably still living in the 80s, McDonald's wise. Like they probably hadn't redecorated the place. It's been a long time, I imagine. The Sesame Street unibrow. Yeah, he's got a pretty prominent unibrow. I've looked at some of his other photos. I think his Instagram's down now, but he has definitely had a prominent unibrow. It's not like I don't think he really shaves it too often. I mean, it's got an aggressive brow ridge going on there. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's to the point where like it's like they want people to believe that that's how he was identified, but like that's preposterous. It's almost as preposterous as as Brian Koberger being identified by his bushy eyebrows. Now, another theory which I think is plausible here as well is that let's say he is the shooter. I don't think he is because again, it doesn't at all appear that way from the looks of things. Let's say he is the shooter. They identified him through basically the unlawful surveillance programs that the surveillance programs of the intelligence communities that unlawfully surveil U.S. citizens that they don't want to tell folks about. I'll give you an example. The Stingray cell phone replicators they were using, right? So 10, 15 years ago, the DOJ was routinely implementing this program where they were using these Stingray systems to do warrantless searches on cell phone calls of suspects that they were surveilling and investigating, right? They didn't have lawful ability to do that. They created their own cell phone tower and were flying around on commercial air, prop jobs you get out of regional airports, right? Surveilling U.S. citizens by flying that over them, and then the cell phones of the person they were surveilling or unlawfully surveilling in the circumstance, they would it would act as a cell phone tower, so you get all that information. So they could basically just hack your entire phone, right? So the feds were doing this for many years. They were handing out national security letters to DOJ attorneys who wanted to use this, who wanted to talk about these things in open court, right? So they couldn't, for many years, they couldn't even reference this is how they were doing it in court, right? They were having to bullshit in court. But the DOJ attorneys, the U.S. attorneys couldn't say anything because a lot of this stuff has been, since been out. And again, this is like 15 years ago when the saga started. It's probably been out for about past 10 years, at least publicly, about these systems. But nonetheless, what I'm saying is they use something like that to track this dude, right? Because I think so this dude's a patsy, he's in this hostel, right? Well, if he sees the dude get murked, he probably thinks, well, shit, I got to go hide, right? I got to get out of here, right? So that seems believable to me, and that they tracked him by using these unlawful methods, and they've concocted this whole narrative, right? And this image you're seeing right here is, I would actually contest this is how they identified him. I would contest this is not from a customer at McDonald's. This image comes from those self-service kiosks at McDonald's. And I would actually argue they also have retina scanners in there to identify people, part of this unlawful surveillance system in which they can identify somebody at, that they're looking for, right? If they come into a place like that. But nonetheless, if they don't have retina scanners, which again, I may sound wild to some folks, but it seems reasonable to me, that they have cameras in those self-service kiosks, and that's where this image comes from, because it's such a weird angle too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the images, they're not taken at the same angle. You can tell by the background, right? It's almost like one's from one machine and one's from the other machine in the lobby there.
Yeah, that's weird,
right? Because you can see that, as Desert Rain pointed out, the old style decorations here. Where you see that maroon or whatever color this is, orange, this non-white bar in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You see the different angles, right? You can see this one's facing a different angle than that one is based upon the background, right? That's what I'm saying. Like one of this image comes from self-service kiosk machine number 1. This image comes from self-service kiosk machine number 2. But the reason why they even identified him in that McDonald's in the first place is not because he used card to pay for that hash brown. It's because they have a fucking retina scanner inside those kiosk machines. And this dude has been tracked through some sort of biometric previously at his time at UPenn, being a computer science engineer. At some point in time, put his biometrics into some sort of government system.
No, are you shitting me?
I think that's how they caught the guy.
Oh.
It's possible, Desert Rain. It might. Those could be completely computer-generated images. I would buy that as well. But if indeed this is McDonald's, and if indeed this, in fact, he was sitting there, I suspect that is the machines. Yeah.
Did they say where McDonald's it's from? Google it, motherfucker, and see if you can see if it exists.
That's a good question. Altoona, PA. Yeah,
it looks like an old.
Yeah, I can find it real quick because they've been getting all sorts of negative comments. Like they've been getting 1-star reviews. Like this place is full of rats, untrustworthy staff. Nobody stays in their lane. McDiarrhea of the mouth here, 1 star. Because the people in the interwebs are calling them out for apparently the employee apparently narking them out, right? Again, I don't think it was an employee, but yeah, it's easy to find because all the 1-star reviews. It's I'm trying to pull up a photo right now here.
Somebody said a McCafe, maybe.
Oh, I mean, that Desert Rain brings up a great point because that is they actually have, according to these photos, it's definitely that McCafe style, yeah, that they've renovated this place. Make sure I'm looking at the right one. I mean, I assume there could be more than one McDonald's with 1 star in Altoona. It doesn't give me the exact address there, but it's got to be it. So it's 407. All right. Oh, there are multiple ones, but yeah, I'm looking at all the photos right now. Yeah, I don't see. They all do look updated. Can't find one of the inside yet, though. That is a good observation, though, Desert Rain. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, but again, I am willing to believe that it's just an outdated McDonald's as well. But yeah, should be curious to find the pictures on the inside. Because again, I think those just the angle and everything else, because he's sitting down, right? So like the angle this is being shot from, and it's being shot not from like a side angle, because again, it's 2 different photos from 2 different angles, right? One's from the side, but one's from faced on. So it's not likely that a person sitting at a table next to him could take the second photo, which is straight on, right? So like, to me, it seems more like those kiosk machines, which are facing every direction of the store, right? Because they have more than one of them, and they're back to back, right? So they have one on one side, one on the other, but they have multiple stations, right? That it seems to me that would be more plausible. Photo looks like he's in the bathroom. It does. Yeah, the back wall does look questionable for sure. There's no doubt about that. But what a ridiculous story, right? Like the guy sitting a couple hundred miles from the crime scene, right?
I mean, for me, I think it would have went a little bit farther than Pennsylvania.
Right, from Altoona, right? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I probably fucking middle of nowhere, but a little bit farther than Pennsylvania. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and on top of all the parapolitical, so that seems ridiculous. And on top of that, you got all the parapolitical stuff. Then you got the Meme World 2024 aspects of it, right? Luigi's Mansion. I saw this earlier, and I guess you could kind of pronounce that mansion in some respect. You got Officer Fry responding there, right? McDonald's seems to be very popular this year, right? Again, Buffalo Jared Revisa, after he stabbed his boyfriend, cut up them girls at the movie theater, he went and cut up some people at McDonald's and pissed on their front door. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of McDonald's activity this year. Trump worked at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. McDonald's is coming up aces in some PR game, I guess. They're getting their name out there at least. I'll tell you the other weird thing is, and this isn't the first time I've noticed this type of activity. I'm trying to remember it earlier. There was another case. It'll come back to me here hopefully when I'm talking. Like within 24 hours, we're given four different, essentially mug shots, if you will, of this guy, right? It's almost like they're doing a criminal photo shoot, right? Like put on the suicide vest, right, in one photo, and then the other photo, he's wearing the clothes he was arrested in for some reason. This is also attributed to Altoona PD, right? And then they got him in his, they got him in some prison oranges, if you will. Another photo. I'm trying to find that photo here. Nope, that's not it. Oh yeah, this one. And then they got the one they put him in his jail cell and he pissed himself.
No,
see that one?
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's right. McD's on the plane with RFK. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, a lot of McDonald's stuff popping up, especially with Trump.
Big time, right? Big time. Yeah, so then we get this photo. So right now we're on photo number 3, right? But wait, there's more. Because we still got the one with him in the orange jumpsuit, which I don't seem to have right now. Stand by 1 second, right? But so what do you think the McDonald's situation is? Is this some sort of weird, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Why does McDonald's keep popping up?
No, I do find that weird.
Right?
I don't know. I was trying to look up something. I could have swore. I don't know why. I thought somehow Fry came up when I had TJ on, and he was covering Gematria and Trump.
Was it?
I don't know if it was, or maybe it been TJ. Maybe it might have been TJ and Cthulhu at the same time. Can't remember, but I think somebody focused on Fry or something made me look up Fry, or something matched Fry. That was the one. Yeah. And I can't.
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be more to it. I don't know. McDonald's chaos magic is a suggestion. I'm not sure.
Weird to me. I do find it weird. It comes up a lot, especially how Trump is associated with it. I'm sure it has to be right. My opinion, because it's just Trump.
Sure. It seems it comes up way too often for it not to be nothing, right?
My opinion, yes.
Yeah, I think so as well. So here's the 4th shot we get of Luigi, still unibrowing it up, of course. So we get all 4 of these shots within 24 hours, right? That's weird. It's like a criminal, catwalk photo shoot, right? All right, Luigi, take off the suicide, take off your street clothes, put on the suicide vest, take off the suicide vest, put on the orange jumpsuit. Let's get a shot of you in the orange. Oh yeah, let's get a profile shot. It looks like a photo shoot to me. And again, whatever that, we never get this shot. This is the shot that's never I can't think, nor could I find another suspect of a high-profile crime where he gets arrested and we get a shot of him in the jail cell in the county lockup that day, let alone the piss in the pants situation. I think it's a whole nother level of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you recall another, we've done a lot of true crime conversations, right?
I don't remember any pictures of people pissing themselves.
We got a picture of Koberger, I think, coming off the plane, going into his initial arraignment, I believe, and then that was it. There was no photos of Koberger inside the jail. There's no photos of Richard Allen inside the jail. We just did some Delphi stuff, right?
Well, that's why I think
the jury got to see a lot of that Richard Allen inside the jail stuff. But I'm saying, publicly, no one gets to see these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you. He looks like that's a great comment. That was my exact thought. This guy looks like an Abercrombie model in this pose, right? And maybe wearing some sort of Les Wexner-owned, attire. I don't know. Les Wexner being the owner of Abercrombie. But Abercrombie's in a lot of heat right now for all their prostitution stuff, and all that's derivative as well as the Ashton Kutcher Danny Masterson, P. Diddy situations that are popping off. So it's weird that that's the initial thought I had. What are they trying to make this guy look like a Abercrombie model, but like pissing himself? Yeah, it just seems very strange. Very strange.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't think we do know that the CEO didn't fake his death. I mean, how many people would he have to pay off in New York City to accomplish that? I don't suspect very many. The guy was making $9 million a year, so I mean, it certainly seems plausible. Seems like it's possible at least. I don't know. He definitely has some mind controlled aspects to him. I saw this on Twixter from that Dildo Gaggins account. He always photoshops the program to kill stuff in with folks. I thought this was a great shot because I mean it is very PTK. I believe this was a shot of him in Hawaii. So we had, folks were pointing out earlier that Ruth, the second Trump shooter, was coming from Hawaii, and this dude was living in some sort of weird commune there. The guy that was being interviewed on Fox News, I believe Jesse Waters, I saw a clip. His old roommate or something like that was at that commune in Hawaii, and that dude's like, "Oh yeah, I introduced him into the Unabombers manifesto." Right, and now this whole thing. He gave a 4-star. This dude gave a 4-star review to the Unabomber on Goodreads. Right, Burger King's making a killing right now. Yeah, right. They did come out with some social media posts real quick with "We don't snitch," which I thought was pretty good.
That's funny.
Yeah,
they came out with something.
What's that?
They came out with something like that.
Yeah, Burger King posted that there on Twixter.
Oh, that is
funny. Yeah, I mean, this dude obviously has this, like, the whole. I mean, for him to be a patsy, it would make sense that he would have this character like I'm describing, this roommate who's from this commune that he knew for 6 months last year, right? Who's then inserting into the narrative. Yeah, I told him about the Unabomber. He seemed to really enjoy that kind of thing, right? You see what I'm saying? Like that plays into the whole kind of patsy operation to have somebody in a mainstream media interview for whatever reason. Like, it doesn't seem like why aren't they interviewing this dude's family? Or apparently his mother reported him missing, weeks ago, right? So like, why aren't they? Granny is an adult, but nonetheless, like, wouldn't that be newsworthy? The mother reporting him missing, a police report that stating that, you know what I mean? Like, no, they're gonna interview this random dude who knew him briefly in passing and can give these interesting details to the effect of this dude's a nut job. This dude, causing that connection between him and Kaczynski. It's almost like magic, right? By implanting the Kaczynski idea, right, into folks' heads.
I had wondered if it was like MKUltra or something like that too. Who knows?
Well, I mean, he's doing something in Hawaii, right? It certainly could be.
Yeah. I find Hawaii interesting. Like, I know there's like kind of like a weird Mormon-esque type deal out there, and
there's a lot of Mormon stuff going on there.
And like, I even know Brandon Fugel, like, at one point was like just advertising or whatever, just patting himself on the back, bragging about how much property he was buying in Hawaii.
Oh, he owns a lot of real estate out there too, huh?
Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch guy.
Yeah, I find that interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
He was also a Mormon at one point. It might still be. He's definitely
still a Mormon. He's old school. His family's deep into Mormonism.
So yeah, I don't know.
I think that's why somebody like that's why he gets all the contracts he gets, right? As a real estate developer, right? He's the approved Mormon real estate developer for the church, if you will.
Oh wow.
Oh, he's I mean, all of his business interests are deeply ingrained within the Mormon religion. There's no question. He's always pounding around with the Attorney General out there too, from Utah. He's in all that hot water with Ballard, Sean Reyes. Yeah, the Mormons are everywhere. Yeah, they went over there and recruited the Hawaiian royal family years ago, or members of the Hawaiian royal family. I grew up with some Hawaiian Mormons that lived in Cincinnati. They moved to Cincinnati. They were Hawaiian and Mormon. The one of them's on one of those ridiculous. We got a bunch of kids TV shows, or was at one point in time. Him and his wife and all their kids. There was some like Mormon. We got a lot of kids TV shows. I grew up with one of the dudes in that show. the Hawaiian fellow. Yeah, dude, definitely seems like some. I mean, this guy checks all the. For me, this guy checks all the boxes, right? For like the MKUltra type character, right? The mind controlled patsy, if you will. He, you know, I'm not saying he's got like some Buffalo Jared type situations with the hypnotist in his family. Not those boxes, but he checks a lot of other different boxes, if you will. He's a gifted program. He's no doubt of a gifted program. He was the valedictorian at the most prestigious private school in Baltimore. $40K a year to go there. He was the valedictorian back in 2016. The speech is available online to watch. I mean, the dude was very intelligent. So he checks that box. Probably in a gifted program where I think a lot of these folks are selected from a very young age for various purposes in intelligence agencies and otherwise. They're identified out of these gifted programs, right? This guy's no different, I don't think. Then he goes on to be, get all this education in AI technology and computer sciences and a master's degree from an Ivy League college. That's a very particular skill set from, an esteemed university that's going to put him on, give him a lot of other opportunities. Speaking from a man who's been on a lot of lists, has been offered and attempted to be recruited into a number of different agencies over the course of my career as a military police officer in the Air Force. I'm going to say this dude was on more lists than I was. So I'm going to say if he didn't dodge those opportunities like I did, then he signed up for one of those opportunities and found himself on some weird communist, same difference, whatever. Commune in Hawaii getting involved in some hood rat shit. Because that's what it seems like to me, right?
Mm.
And again, he was in a fraternity. So again, that puts him on a higher level in those lists as well, right? Because
What fraternity was he in?
I looked it up. Give me 1 second. Phi. They're all the same to me. Phi Kappa Psi. Phi Kappa Psi. It's an American collegiate social fraternity. You know my thought. I have no time for these people.
I just find
I think so much hood rat shit gets run through these agencies because of the level of secrecy that exists, right? And the general sense of fear to be discarded from your group, right? There's such a, the beatings, the initiations, they really beat it into them like, hey, you can't go against your brothers, right? I mean, that's even more so than I think the Freemasons, right? Because I don't think the Freemasons, I hope they don't, at least. I hope the Freemasons out there aren't jamming things up each other's butts at their meetings, because I think that's what these frat people do. Seems a lot of butt-related activities. Every time these things come out, they're jamming hoses up people's butts. Pouring alcohol down the hoses, you know what I mean? There's all sorts of these kind of stories that come out with frats in recent years. I just presume they do a lot of butt activity. I hope the Freemasons aren't. That's what I'm saying. I think these guys, to a certain degree, are more trained or more trustworthy in some sort of hood rat shit secrecy environment, right? You want these kind of characters because they've been proven to keep their mouths shut, is what I'm saying.
Look what happened to him after the initiation.
Right. I mean, they must have got him good. I don't know what goes on in these. I've never been part of a frat, never will be part of a frat, but don't care. Never care to. So it's I find these organizations so creepy, and time after time they're involved in prostitution and drug rings. Time after time, like there's just no shortage of examples. So I don't know. Like all these words don't mean a lot to me, but these Grand Arch Councils, convened, might as well be convened in 1853 in Charlottesville, Virginia. So these seem to be different segments of this fraternity specifically. I don't know what any of that means though, right? But obviously it's a hierarchy of some regard, right? The different, these different like districts or whatever they're calling them, right? Grand Arch Councils. Those are like different districts or something, right? You think?
Yes.
But I don't mean I had never heard of this fraternity after, out of the fraternities I have looked into for various incidents. Well, look, here we go. Speaking of hood rat shit, University of Virginia gang rape hoax to that. They were the victims of that one, huh? Okay, well, fair enough. Okay. I remember that incident at Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone printed an article saying these dudes this fraternity raped some girl and all turned out to be fake. Apparently that was a chapter of good old Phi Kappa Psi, apparently. Here we go. Scandals and misconduct. Probably no shortage, rape, drugs, yup. What do we got here? West Virginia University 2013 places chapter on suspension following an alleged hazing incident. Guaranteed it was butt stuff. Always is.
2014, two girls popped for the date rape drug, GHB.
GHB. Yep. Drugging and raping women. Like I said, hood rat shit, right? These are America's leaders. That's what they'll tell you. These are America's leaders. These are fucking the best and the brightest. The guys going around jamming hoses up their butts and pouring alcohol down it and then raping women with GHB. This is our best and our brightest. I don't know. I don't buy it. It's just me, though, I guess.
That's a good way to put it.
I'm not diminishing butt activities. If you want to go to join a fraternity and get a hose jammed up your butt, by all means, please do. That's what makes you happy in life. It's just saying. To me, if I find it disturbing, I find it disturbing again in the sense that these people doing it are suddenly put on a pedestal as the leaders of our society. And you wonder what problems America has. Well, I mean, we're appointing leaders who like to jam hoses up each other's butts and pour alcohol down it. When they're done with that, they go GHB and rape some women. And I know people will be like, oh, well, not everyone in a fraternity jams things up their butt and rapes women. Well, you're not policing your fellow members that are doing it, so you're part of the problem, in my opinion. That's, again, look at all the drug trafficking that's been going on in Moscow, Idaho, in Washington there, right? We've covered, there's at least 3 large-scale drug trafficking incidents in the last 7 years between those 2 campuses. And all of them have been in the Greek community within a sorority or a fraternity, right? So when you have 100% of your drug trafficking problem in 2 small, very remote towns, I think that's a good case study, an example, if you will, of there's a fucking problem with these Greek fraternities and sororities. In addition to just ruining society with their, whatever dumb and depraved activities they get involved in. So I'm not saying this dude's alcohol butt chugger. I'm not saying this dude raped any women with GHB. I am this dude existed in an environment where these activities very likely occur around him. And again, he may not engage in that shit, but he may have signed up for some other weird shit that found him on a commune, being this, elite AI computer scientist expert working, in some new fields out in California, suddenly then going and living on a commune in or Hawaii. And then much like Ryan Ruth, the other guy from Hawaii, the second shooter, right, of Trump, who was, speaking of Abercrombie and Les Wexner, Ryan Ruth, the Trump shooter, his girlfriend, who was allegedly funding his life in Hawaii, was the district manager for Les Wexner's whatever his clothing company, I can't think of right now. Not Abercrombie, but Limited. She was the district manager for the Limited from the West Coast in Hawaii. So she was high up in the Wexner organization in that regard, at least, how many district managers they have, right? Maybe a dozen. Okay. So she's one of a dozen in the Wexner empire, whatever's left of it, and she was funding Ryan Ruth. That was his girlfriend. That's who he was living with out there, supposedly. But yeah, I think it's weird. It's a weird connection, the Ruth thing there, and the fact that Luigi here, frats are definitely fake and gay. I definitely agree. Doesn't ring. I think you bring up a good point though, Nick. With the Mormons are always up to weird shit.
Just like who knows with them.
They do have a very significant influence of Hawaii. Like it's pretty substantial. Again, they went and recruited Hawaiian royal family members into the church, and I think that was on purpose to get a good stranglehold of Hawaii, right? Like they've had a BYU Hawaii University for long time. I mean, decades, right? I mean, I think 50s or 60s, maybe. Whenever I want to say it was mid 60s. I want to say they actually set up shop in Hawaii before Hawaii became a state, if I remember correctly. So that'd be like 65, maybe. The Mormons were there. So yeah, I mean, anytime the Mormons are, and again, the Mormons like to involve themselves in hood rat shit, and I take them for their word that they would like to turn all of America into, Mormons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a former Mormon myself, I'm not into that idea. Not into any religion running the state, right? That is the separation of church and state.
Yeah. Not to get like off of a different topic, but I do wonder with some of this
Did
stuff.
not know that.
Not to get off kind of like this idea, but just because of like other things I've seen sometimes, and like maybe this is just like a crazy rabbit hole that I just go down now when I see these things. But do you ever wonder if like some of them are like voice to skull technology like going wrong? Or like,
I mean, exactly. That's a good point because if
what if you're, let's say somebody paid for this to be done, or you're trying to prove a point that look, this shit works, and what if it doesn't work? Then you're gonna have to actually go, if you want to sell this product and you're trying to advertise it, you're gonna have to have somebody viable to probably kill the target that the voice to skull person was probably going to do if you really want to sell your product.
No, I mean, you make some good points because let's say that, and I don't.
Sorry, that's why there's a difference of eyebrows. Maybe the guy didn't actually technically do it, but he was the one who was supposed to take the route.
I think you make some valid points because something like if voice to skull technology definitely exists, and if it's being employed for these kind of circumstances, I would assume you'd have to have a cleanup crew like that. That's a good point. I would also assume there's instances where things go wrong, and as a result of things going wrong, you have to come up with ridiculous cover stories. This could be that. This could be a ridiculous cover story, right? For something that did go wrong.
It was just like sometimes with some of this stuff, I just do question that.
Well, then I think the Mormons were late on the statehood. Thanks, Desert Rain. I was thinking it was 69, but that might be Alaska, 68 or 69 that was added as a state. But yeah, Mormons have been there for a while. They definitely do have a big influence there. Now, I think that's a good point, Nick, for sure. Speaking of modern, what's your take on Modern Family Show, JJ? I don't know what that is. If it's like Modern Warfare, I don't play video games, so I couldn't tell you. Be quite honest with you. Hell to there, P. Thomas. It should be interesting to see how this plays out because old boy has Luigi there has pled not guilty, so which I find also somewhat interesting.
You think he'll make it?
It doesn't seem that way, right? But like, if we were to base everything off of historical trends and examples, I would say no. However, I also like to say that Modern Family is fake and gay. I also like to say that here in Meme World 2024, all bets are off. You know what I mean? It's a whole new set of rules.
Yeah, I think I was looking up that Fry shit on Gematrix, but like when you were showing the pictures before, you said you had him in green, right? Was he like wearing the turtle suit for the Suicide Watch? Is that what kind of green he was in, or like was it green clothes?
Yeah, it was a suicide vest. Yeah.
Now, was that before or after? Do you know the chronological order of how he was like presented?
No, I don't. They just Altoona PD's the credit for all of those photos, and they all just got released, kind of, one time within 24 hours. They all got released in like a 2-hour time frame within 24 hours.
Oh wait, what? Oh, but how long was he? How long was he already arrested? Just my opinion. If you do go on suicide watch, it's going to be probably at what I've seen a few days. So this guy had to have been lucky to get out of that to get into oranges, unless he went from the orange into the greens. You know what I'm saying? But normally,
how do you go into the cell? How does he go into the cell wearing his civilian clothes? Were the piss on the pants?
I guess no. I could see that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, some jails do that. The feds, you'll be in your regular clothes until like you get somewhere, and then like even like I've heard of Rikers Island, certain parts of Rikers Island, you can wear regular clothes, and until you get housed. Until you get housed.
What do you mean by housed? Like you get booked?
No, like you'll be going through intakes and you'll have your regular clothes on until you actually make it to somewhere, and then depending on what you're wearing, they may still even allow you to wear it, depending on what it is. But no, there's like certain.
No, you're bringing up some good points. Let me bring up this photo because I want to point something out. Then, so the way you're describing this photo right here would be. Let's just walk through a couple of the steps you just identified. I think I'm tracking with what you're saying now. So this would be his first photo, then, right? Likely, right? This is the street clothes they got him in on, right? This is allegedly how he was arrested at that McDonald's wearing those clothes, right? So, delete that. So then maybe this one's the second clothes because he's not wearing his shoes. And he's got no longer has a coat on. He's standing in the holding cell or the cell. There's a little bed right here. You can see in a different photo. There's like a bed on this side of the room. He's standing in front of the toilet. And then maybe they put him in the orange, is what you're saying? And then after that, they were like, "Nah, dude, you're on suicide watch, buddy." So
maybe. Yeah, that's definitely.
But the way we just like that would be the correct order then, at least, right? If this was legitimate steps, like that's how it would kind of go down.
Yeah, I think, my opinion, I think you would end up going into that probably first. It all depends. Like, listen, if the kid started pulling some, I don't know, silly shit. But normally, like, from what I've seen, from my experiences, seeing people end up in that shit, it's normally like right away. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, they normally, if there's a reason that these motherfuckers are acting suicidal, these people normally start that fucking, little whole spiel right away. Maybe he took him a little bit longer before he tried that angle to try to see if it was going to be an easier entrance, and it's no fucking difference, and you're probably going to regret playing that card. He normally that's kind of like on you pretty quick. But again, I don't know how the guy was acting, but
sure. No, I mean, you bring up some relevant points.
They will be in, like, probably they should be in a cell by themselves for like a couple of days.
Well, you caused me to remember something here relative to this guy's arrest. So, if there's this manhunt, right? There's a $50,000 reward by the FBI. There's a $10,000 reward by NYPD, and when I looked it up on his booking, they booked him for fake ID and a gun charge. They didn't book him for the murder of that CEO. So he's sitting in Altoona right now for a gun charge and a fake ID, right?
Yeah.
He's not sitting in there. They said they found his manifesto, but they didn't arrest him for the murder. This is more of the magic show that I think is being perpetrated on the public through the media presentation of this situation. But he didn't get booked for the murder, right? He's now fighting extradition because they charged him with murder the day after they arrested him. He got charged with murder in New York City. Under what evidence or affidavit? I would love to see that. They have not released their statement of probable cause, because I would love to see what jumps they're using here, what evidence they're supporting this arrest. Because again, I was somewhat taken aback because when I first saw he was arrested, I did not expect to see his actual charges to not list that murder, right? For example, same state, Pennsylvania, 2 years ago, Brian Koberger, right? Idaho, we've seen the probable cause statement. We've gone over it before in podcasts, right? And the bullshit that exists in it, right? The complete farce that it is. The arresting affidavit, probable cause statement for Brian Koberger. Idaho sent a warrant to Pennsylvania, and that the FBI and Pennsylvania State Police served that warrant on Koberger's parents' home. However, what I'm saying is he was charged immediately with those 4 murders. This dude, no warrants, shady phone call with a dude with bushy eyebrows at a McDonald's, right? As how the story goes. And then he gives him the fake ID that he allegedly checked into the hostel with to commit the crime. That's ridiculous. And then they find and that causes them to search him for a gun. Otherwise, how are you searching this guy? He's committed no crimes. You've not charged him with anything. He's not suspected of the murder, right? They book him for a gun charge. And I mean, all I'm saying is there are so many gaps in getting this guy off already as far as his defense attorney goes, which he has one of the top defense attorneys in the state of Pennsylvania. Maybe not top, but a guy well-versed and experienced. And he's defended homicides before. He's won cases and homicide cases for his clients. I've looked him up. He's represented clients in like 75% of the counties in Pennsylvania. He's a pretty heavy hitter. He just happens to be from Altoona. And he won't say who hired him either, but presumably this guy's family, because they're very wealthy, but nonetheless, the idea that they arrested this guy, they came there with a dude who had bushy eyebrows and they're like, oh shoot, let me see your ID. Oh yeah, here's my fake ID from where I just committed that murder in the state next door. You know what I mean? Giving that to the cop. It doesn't make any sense. Again, and from a defense attorney's perspective, Where's the probable cause to arrest the client, dude's client in the first place, Luigi in the first place? You know what I mean? Unless Mario was turncoat on him, I think this dude could in fact walk. When I say Mario, meaning jokingly as Mario and Luigi, but like if someone they have some sort of witness, which I don't even know what witness that would be. You know what I mean? But the idea that they could just go arrest the guy for the gun charge and the ID, well, what's the probable cause to even question the man? Had they charged him with a murder, that would have made a lot more sense. It just seems like, all I'm really saying is there's a lot of games being played here with his arrest, the charges, etc. It just doesn't. It doesn't. If it was a legitimate thing, it would go seemingly more like as illegitimate as the arrest of Koberger is. They went through the legitimate process of arresting him, right?
Yeah.
It's Bert from Sesame Street. He does have some Bert vibes.
That's funny. I mean,
go ahead.
Even the reason, again, like not to go back to this voice to skull shit.
No, I think it's a great point.
At least is even like I didn't want to go into it too much because it's like to even try to put this point across could take like 20-30 minutes itself showing shit on the screen. But she's been like looking into stuff with that voice to skull technology, and like she's even posting about it in the chat. This is why I think this could be it, because like there even seems like the person who's really big into voice to skull technology might have had an issue like with this company. So
sure.
It's just it just seems like somehow like the same few main players that are involved in that shit just somehow seem to like be attached to like some of the weirdest crimes or drownings.
No, I totally agree with you. And if we're looking for a case where a voice to skull technology would fit, I think this is a great case. And I'll leave you, Nick, and the folks of the interwebs with this thought on the matter. Back to Nancy Pelosi. So Paul Pelosi, the guy that likes to have homosexual encounters with prostitutes in all hours of the morning, some seemingly involving hammers for some reason. Paul Pelosi made some very suspiciously timed Wall Street call options on the company that United Health Group, the CEO that died, the company he hired to fix an IT breach this year that occurred earlier this year, and a hacking where a bunch of their customer stuff got compromised, which was related to this DOJ investigation and insider trading with the CEO, right? He's a suspect of that investigation. Well, it seems a very likely other suspect of that investigation is Paul Pelosi, because Paul Pelosi put on some suspiciously timed call options on this Palo Alto networks in Palo Alto, California, as in Nancy Pelosi's district for many years when she was a congresswoman, and obviously now as as well, she's still a congresswoman. But I'm saying this is right. This is in her district, right? This company is, and Paul Pelosi's putting on. They're notorious for these insider trading. The Pelosi's are, right. They have this whole huge. They've built quite a reputation on what anyone else would be called insider trading, right? Even folks like Martha Stewart for some of the shit that the Pelosi's do, right? Martha Stewart, for example, went to prison for these type of activities in recent years. Or not all that long in the past. So these things are crimes for other people, even folks like Martha Stewart, but not the Pelosi's. But yeah, Paul Pelosi made some very questionably timed things just prior to moments where these breaches were released. This company was getting contracts to fix the breach, right? Suddenly profiting in advance of these things being announced publicly, right? So from a company, again, the CEO, the United Healthcare out of Minnesota, but they hired this firm out of Silicon Valley in Palo Alto to fix this IT breach that they had, where it compromised all of this very valuable medical information and social security numbers of their clients, their customers. So the Pelosi's seemingly had a knowledge of that. So if part of this insider trading, the DOJ investigation that the CEO was the victim of the murder was subject of, well, it could also likely involve the Pelosi's. And if that's true, that's strange, because this kid's family involves the Pelosi's, the D'Alessandros, that is Nancy Pelosi's maiden name and family. So if anyone's looking for an intersection in this crime, my best guess is it's the insider trading in the Pelosi's is the common factor here in the United Healthcare CEO's murder, with the insider trading aspect being connected to the Pelosi's, the alleged shooter also being deeply embedded with the Pelosi's through numerous Italian charitable organizations and PR campaigns. saving the multi-million-dollar enterprises of country clubs who are facing very could be very economically devastating negative public relations campaigns back in the 1980s. So they go way back.
Way back.
Well, Nick, I appreciate your time, man. It's been a good conversation. Do you got any closing thoughts here? That's a good comment. Palo Alto is very MKUltra stomping grounds too. Yeah.
No, not really. Check out the Occult Rejects. JJ Vance is one of them. Yeah. BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, and all major podcasts. And keep an eye out for a live that we got Friday. Should be interesting. It'll be a fuck on that.
Circa 10 p.m.
Yes, and this show too. Yes.
Talking ancient alien cargo cults.
Right, Elite.
We just did. We just did a couple shows recently on the Occult. I joined you on the Occult Rejects with Headless, obviously, the other night. That was a good conversation. Got a lot of good feedback there on the American Blue Bloods.
Yeah, that was a really interesting one because I don't know much about that stuff. That was pretty good. Yeah, I learned
every time I talk to Headless, he brings up some good. I always leave the conversation with some points of thought and some new perspectives. So I always appreciate
he has to bring you on. He has to bring you on a lot. He likes having you on the show, so it works out well.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate that for sure. No, thanks folks to the interrupts for watching. I'm glad y'all enjoyed it here. Like I said, Operation GCD, got the links in the chat here in the show notes along with next link tree. But Operation GCD, we moved the Wednesday night to Friday night. Again, Ancient Alien Cargo Cults with Ryder Lee on Friday night. Nick will be joining me here as a co-host. And other than that, look forward to our next Fridays there, Nick. And folks of the interwebs, thanks again.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your six. Look in that garbage can, 'cause you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.